when they started in 2007 and they realized that the photographs of the sites were not so good, the feedback was not so good, they went on to several properties in whole of US just to do a proper photo shoot. But they realized that's not a way forward. As of today, they have got numerous photographers on the panel who offer services to the platform as well as to the hotels and the properties directly, just to make sure that the right imagery is projected. And this information then is consumed both by the host as well as by the customers, and that's where how constant improvisation keeps happening. Interestingly, just to make the whole experience wholesome, they work with the activity producers. Now, all of you would have gone for would have gone for similar services, wherein the key objective in mind, such as you could be looking at a water sports, you could be looking at adventure sports, you could be looking at a jungle safari. There are a host of such suppliers today who list themselves with Airbnb just to make sure that that information then reaches the guest so they can plan very well in terms of number of days and activities. The itinerary gets well planned. Commissions are exchanged. Likewise, there are tour guides because of the language issue, because a lot of guests would like to understand those country and those geography and those topography well. They do hire the services of guides, and these guides typically then offer a 30 to 20% commission for every confirmed booking and every confirmed deal that happens. You can see a complete revenue change moving around Airbnb. They have actually revolutionized the complete ecosystem. Next slide, please. Next one, please. Since it is a marketplace which is led by digital, while digital has become very prominent in recent years, but because of the ecosystem that they belong to and with no touch and feel, they've been relying on it very, very heavily. Social media typically is one exciting mode for them, wherein in every single country, they have a separate Insta page, they've got a YouTube channel, they've got a Twitter and a Facebook, just to give that local touch. So not only you necessarily need to go to the Airbnb site to obviously have your bookings done, you could actually use the hot link at any of these modes just to have your bookings and a lot of information. They have a wonderful Google Display Network also, where you can see the complete information in terms of videos and visuals. And that has really helped them to gain a lot of international sort of audience also, because if one was to sitting in India and wants to go to an unknown, a new country altogether, rather than looking at references here and there, all the information today is available on the internet, which is why the entire digital program is very, very robust for them. Interestingly, they also rely very heavily on the blogs, wherein they not only talk of the properties, but about those unique features of those cities, the must visits, and even about the eateries. Now that makes the entire sort of offer very wholesome, and customers can look at ways and means to have a value for money proposition also. And they're open to criticism also. So there are a lot of inputs which come to a lot of reviews and ratings. At the same time, there comes a lot of suggestions or criticism also. They value quite a bit. Slide, please. Next one. Content marketing. At the end of the day, since there's no touch and feel, they have a lot of local guides with a lot of travelers, as well as the host, a lot of information, which keeps getting improvised as they move forward, just to make sure that all of that is contemporary. Now, it's a data powerhouse, and they have access to so much of information of customers worldwide. They know your taste. They use AI very frequently. They do drop you mails frequently on areas, on markets, on sort of properties, locations that could entice you. And because of the customized emails, they have got a significant conversions also coming in. Next slide, please. Some more examples of how the imagery is projected. In today's time and age, when there's a lot of work from home, a lot of people, wherever restrictions are not there, prefer to go for small vacations. They come back and excite you by, the typical one, the one on the top left. What would you want to work from? So that really sets the mind of the customer, sort of thinking. There's so much of fatigue also sitting at home, and they like to look at new places. So, stuff like this helps them for conversion. Interestingly, if you look at the one which is in the right bottom, they make local heroes prominent. There's so much awareness that it's created of the local heroes. While we may not be doing sitting in wherever we are, but people who are typically interested to go for adventure or fitness, they could actually introduce the customers to these local heroes who are experts in different zones, in different activations, and they could help them set the itinerary wherein there's a lot of revenue. So these local heroes also start getting a lot of revenue by interacting with people who are coming from different geographies. Such an interesting concept. Next slide, please. I'm going to be playing a short video. You can do that, Sankalp. So friends, we accept as a hashtag is a property that has become so prominent. And this video really tells you how inclusive is this entire concept. Airbnb, I mean, practices no discrimination whatsoever, cutting across geographies, people, culture, gender. It's such an inclusive concept, and that's really made them a hero in the digital marketing space. Over to you, Shiv sir.
Yeah, next slide, please.
Next one.
Yeah. Now, not everything can be hunky-dory. We've spoken about valuations and how big the outreach of Airbnb is, but there are problems. This is basically, they really came into their being from 2010-11, so it's a decade-old company. And similar companies like Airbnb will also be facing their guest horror stories. But the best part of Airbnb is that they're not afraid to put this information on their domain for the public. And because they're able to put this information and they realize, yes, these are problems, they are addressing them. It will take some more time. Unlike the hotel industry, which is established for many decades, and you have managers on the spot who can handle situations. Because of the three interfaces, host, the company, and the guests, they are all separated by thousands of miles. This will take time, but I think this will go ahead. By addressing these issues, this industry will go further. I'll speak more on this on the next slide, please, Sankalp. Yeah. Now, a lot is being said about their customer service, which the company realizes is a very weak point even now. And the figures which are on the slide speak for themselves. I mean, they say that 82% of the people who have a problem in Airbnb stay mentioned customer service as a problem, and all the people who have customer service problems say that was the problem, customer service itself. And the usual problems are there of this kind of a platform. In an emergency, there's no support, or they're unreachable, rude. The funds is an issue. They get unfair deactivation on the account who's maybe critical of them, and you don't get the right answers every time. They are promised more than what delivery is less than the promise. Hang up. But these are issues which are there for Airbnb and similar companies in this sphere, but they're not afraid to discuss them and improve on them. And I guess the winner in the end will be somebody who is able to actually handle this, whether it's going to be Airbnb or TripAdvisor or similar. So let's see. And I think by recognizing these problems, things will get better. Next slide, and over to Sanjeev.
Yeah, thank you, Shiv. Sankalp, can we have that slide on? Okay, I think we begin with another video. Friends, like I mentioned, the picture gives you more impact than the spoken word. I'm going to take you through a 2-minute video, which is worth every bit of the time spent. Please go to it. Okay, Sankalp, can we start the video, please?
We want everybody to feel like they can go anywhere, they can belong anywhere, and that feeds into culture, right? It's that sense of community. It's a huge part of what energizes me every day.
There's something inherently intimate about a company that started with, hey stranger, come sleep in my home. If I wake up in the morning and have a bad day, I know that when I come to work, I'm going to be surrounded by people who, collaborate together, people who are supportive, people who have a smile on their face, and it's a genuine smile.
Our company mission is to create a world where you can belong anywhere. And in employee experience, our mission is to create a work environment where people feel like they belong here. It is kind of the intersection of travel and adventure and belonging, and that is definitely seen in our workplace.
The best part of working at Airbnb is that on a day-to-day basis, I feel that the work that I and my team does really touches the lives of our guests and hosts by enabling these perfect matches to happen.
Before I got the job here, I was both a host and a guest, and I never imagined that I could work for a place that I believed so passionately in the mission.
I like feeling like I'm making a difference. It's hugely important to me to feel like the work that we're doing as a company and as people is having a positive impact on the world.
We're super excited about winning the Glassdoor Award because it is something that comes from our employees, because it is our employees who make this place special, and it's employees who are delivering on our promise to our hosts and guests.
One of the reasons why I really like working here is because I feel our founders value transparency. To me, it really instills a sense of trust that the people in charge are making the right decisions, and I'm coming to work every day and helping support that.
I think probably the perk that our employees love the most is the fact that quarterly they get a travel voucher. The reason why is everyone here is embracing the adventure and they want to get closer to our hosts.
Honestly, I'm not surprised. I'm not surprised our employees would rate us #1. It's a company that really values its people. It's a company that really values culture, spends a lot of time and effort focused on it. So I think it is an amazing place to work, and I'm glad that everybody else I work with thinks so too.
Yes, thank you, Sankalp, for that video. Friends, you could see from that this is a company that says create a culture that you can belong anywhere, but the work environment that Airbnb provides, it says you belong here. The founders instill a sense of trust in you, a sense when they value transparency. The company values its people, its culture, and its employees to work with a smile on their faces. You can have a stranger who can be welcome to your house for the night, and next morning he helps you feel better. That's the spirit of Airbnb. Can we move to the next slide, please, Sankalp? No, that's not the next slide. That's the video being played here. So there's a case one here which says helps hosts set higher guest expectations. Isn't that what every company wants? The hosts here are those franchisees who let out their places. So there should be clarity of thought between what is being let out and what the customer is expecting. There should be no communication gap on that score. That's what sets higher expectations, which will become clear from the next slide, which Sankalp will now play, please. On to the next slide. Okay, now see, we take this into a three-pronged situation: the challenges faced, the solutions provided, and the end outcome. Did the end outcome justify the solution provided to the challenge? We are combining this into two challenges that every guest faced. One, the listing pages don't always provide a clear picture of the home. They're ambiguous. They were not clear. And secondly, vague questions from Airbnb team were put to those franchisees who were offering their homes. And this was causing inaccurate responses from those hosts because they were not customized, they were not pedagogic, they were generalized. Hence, they were getting weird kind of responses. So we had to bridge these two shortfalls in order to set the solutions. What were the solutions that came up? A content team created a clear definition of 50 plus different types of properties. You could be owning a house, an apartment, a bungalow, a cabin, etc. You would qualify in a certain manner when you offer your place as an Airbnb area. Similarly, the photo ops team, they use data collection systems, image process automations, and text extraction to more easily gather important information for hosts and the guests. And thirdly, to ensure that Airbnb asks the host the most relevant questions, they had to first understand the relationship between the data. The experience made dynamic, only asking questions when necessary. Don't ask frivolous, unwise, unrelated questions. It ends up confusing the host. What was the outcome? We had to have the desired outcome. Better clarity in existing and future data representation to both the hosts as well as the guests. So you had a clear picture of what to expect when you move into an Airbnb premises for whatever time. There were reduced complaints. There was better acceptability, which is natural. Obviously, this resulted in an increase in the market dynamics and higher footfall. And last, but by no means least, the faster deal closing aspect happened between the hosts and the guests, resulting in this exponential growth of the company. Because suddenly they found the right answers. They found the right pictures, the right expectations of what to expect, where to expect, and how to expect it. Over to Vikas to take you through the last leg of this relay race onto the finish line. Vikas.
Thank you, Sanjeev. Thank you, sir. Thank you, Sanjeev, sir, once again. Well, COVID crisis. The presentation would have been complete without this being discussed. So haven't been knowing of instances, people, companies who've sort of made a moolah even during the COVID times, as we still go through those difficult times. So that is a phenomena that has happened with this industry also, albeit not by all companies. This, of course, requires one to be nimble and on a learning mode. Next slide, please. Next slide, please, Sankalp. Well, it's often said that necessity is the mother of all inventions. Let me add to it. Necessity is also the mother of all improvisations also. The COVID crisis was absolutely unprecedented. And again, we've got this section into the entire slide into 3 sections. Let me talk about the challenges first. The first one, of course, was the obvious part. The travel industry worldwide was fully or partially shut down. There's no industry other than this which has been hit so badly. The entire ecosystem actually collapsed. So much so that by April 2020, same time around last year, the overall sort of bookings were down by 72%. As a matter of fact, there were more cancellations than bookings. Nothing can be more troublesome than that. And then, of course, because of these 2 challenges, the third was obvious. And the operational costs continue to be high versus negligible incoming revenue. Now, there had to be a solution to this, otherwise the company would have collapsed and so would have the sector. They had to take a very tough call by closely understanding who are the people who had to be laid off. 25% of the workforce was laid off, which is a tough decision, but they had to take in the larger interest of the organization. They started focusing on their core business, and that at that point of time was focusing on the frontline warriors, providing the accommodation, because those are the people who were moving with all the passes that they had at disposal. They were the ones on the front line, and they were the ones who were having permissions. They had to be served. Also importantly, just to make sure that the information was crisp while they were already in the digital space, they drastically improved the digital user experience. Now that led to the information very crisp, readable, understandable, and easy to absorb. Importantly, while they were themselves in trouble, for the long-term sustenance of the organization, they provided refunds to the guest and financial support to the host. A lot of hosts were nearly getting broke. They really made them live by giving them that support. And of course, they're going to adjust those support against the future revenues. Now, this had a dramatic sort of an outcome, a set of outcomes actually. There was a rapid turnaround as soon as the COVID lockdowns were sort of eased in different geographies. The first-time customers, look how it pays. First-time customers, including the frontline workers, became major loyal customers, stabilizing the business and revenues. There wasn't any collapse. And because of all that, relations with the host and the guest improved quite a bit. They could also save cost because of the automation that went big time. Next slide, please. Well, any industry typically plans by studying what could be the future trends. So the revenue or the growth that we're expecting tomorrow can't be an outcome of anything that we're going to do tomorrow, today, but yesterday. This industry is also going to be going through a lot of changes, and I think the COVID pandemic makes it even more relevant. Some of the key ones have been highlighted by me in red. So smart mirrors is something that you're going to be seeing more often in the washrooms. So while shaving or brushing, you can actually watch news, weather, all of that put together. QR-based video chat with support staff. It would be a great enabler. It's already a tech company. So AI-based booking, pricing and support, AR, VR, all of this is going to become more robust. Robot room service. Now that's also something that's going to be seen in future. The personal touch may be missing, but we'll have to again see the customer's experience to understand whether it's workable or not workable. Real-time voice language translation. A lot of people travel to different geographies where knowledge is a great blocker. You would need an interpreter. But with this app coming in now, you could move all around the place by using these apps and also sort of co-opt and coordinate with the staff with a lot of ease. And of course, medical tourism is also something that's going to be getting very, very important. And Airbnb is going to be especially getting to this sector. The last slide, please. The next one. So let me sum up the takeaways that we thought were optimal as we together studied this organization. Undoubtedly, it's a very powerful concept and it's going to change the industry like never before. It augments economies around geographies, a concept which flows across continent. Even within a given geography, there's a complete ecosystem of travel guides, your cabs, eateries, all of that put together. So there's so much of revenue that flows. And as a key facet, we could decipher all this. This all comes as a package. User experience, digital integration, so much of collaboration digitally is timeless. It's not going anywhere. It's scalable. The company already sort of is available, offers services in 200 plus countries. And so there's no stopping it. It's ever evolving. It's a data powerhouse. Without data, nothing works out. With that data, they can actually sitting on a gold mine. It's very inclusive. Most of the videos really shown you. And the last one really showed you people across different sort of geographies working and co-opting together. That's a wonderful culture that they really, sort of adopt. Now, last 2 points to our mind actually were very, very important. A small idea became a big idea, and big idea became a path-breaking idea. I think it's very important that we should never ever discard these ideas. You never know which one is going to take you to the next level. And all of us being entrepreneurs, I think that was a great takeaway for us. We must hail entrepreneurship. Something that started in 2007 by just 3 fellas. And then, of course, the expanded the team. The IPO was as recent as last year, but they've ensured by that culture that they've empowered every single sort of key resource within the organization. They all carry a feeling of engagement, responsibility, and ownership, so closely bonded. So the spirit of entrepreneurship is so closely bonded and embedded, which makes them a very, very progressive setup. So thank you on behalf of my team. We could assimilate all these thoughts, give an overview, which we believe is important, was important as we studied this entire organization over the period of last 2 weeks. Thank you, Sanjeev sir, for you. Thank you, Sanjeev sir. Thank you, Shiv sir. You've been great help, and you've really been offering so much of support. And thank you for your words of wisdom.
Great. First of all, a huge round of applause for Sanjeev sir, Vikas, and Shiv sir. They did a fantastic job with this presentation.
Vikas, you take a bow.
Vikas, beautiful presentation. And before I get on with questions, just one comment I remembered. Somebody asked Brian Chesky what advice you have for entrepreneurs. He said, don't take career advice from your parents. Mine were against me finding Airbnb. So that was on a lighter note, but anyway, so who has questions or wants more clarification? Who would like to go first? Yeah, Kanchan.
But Kanchan, were we able to keep up with the time? 30 odd minutes, 25 minutes?
I did not time you. Sankalp, are you in time?
No, they're way above time, but we have enough time, so I didn't say anything.
Okay, great. But I actually didn't get a chance to look at time because the presentation was absolutely fabulous. It was very well put together with all the highlights there. And most importantly, you people have gone out of your way to ensure that each and every strategy that they have taken was put forward and very nicely explained. And then in the end, again, you gave us a whole thing about takeaways. And like I was putting a little bit of pressure on Vikas and everybody since yesterday, I was also doing a little bit of a research, and I actually realized that I think Vikas has not left any stone unturned. Vikas, Sanjeevji, and Shiv sir, you people have not left any stone unturned in finding out what all Airbnb was doing. Very beautifully put along with the videos. And so one thing that I understood from a little bit of a reading up that I did, which you already brought out, you already mentioned, was that Airbnb used this. So I think Airbnb is a live example of a design thinking and strategy.
That's right.
That they have applied to their business model. I've been very gung-ho about this concept for almost now 2 to 3 weeks. Sankalp is aware of it. And looking at the Airbnb example and the way they have scaled themselves, the way they have grown. And I like the way Vikas ended by saying that no idea is small. If you work on it, it becomes great. And it can be really worked on. So design thinking, yes. And I liked while I was reading, I liked the idea that Brian Chesky said that he borrowed from Snow White. Snow White helped him think about how to grow his business, which was very interesting. Which is that, so they basically, they used 3 things to strategize their business, which is the story making, essentially story making. So he says when he went back reading Walt Disney, he realized that from just making cartoons, the major difference that came in was that they started bringing in emotions and stories, which is what affected the people around. And we've been hearing of this all along that, stories stories, but how do stories affect is the emotions. The minute you tap somebody's emotions, that is when it happens. And then they identified that there were three things that they had. There was a host process, there was a guest process, and there was a hiring process of the place. And if they could make stories around it, then that is what their success would be, and which is exactly what we see. So, you know, talking about these people taking on iconic people, taking on people, whether they were, you know, what do you say, famous people in those areas, making those little stories around them, I think was absolutely fabulous. So my only point here is that you also have been able to bring forward that there are these things that can be looked at, that can be also the cause of a downfall for this company. I would also like to ask the three of you one more question. You've studied all of this. You understood it. What, according to you, either three of you, could be done differently? At what point that you would think should have, if this had been done differently, maybe they would have not had this little bit? Or still today also you think that there is something that can be done differently while they are doing their strategy? Because obviously you're not Brian Chesky, but you have your own mind and you have your own experiences. What do you think could have been done differently for them? Yes, Sanjeev.
I'll speak for myself because it's fair that Shiv and Vikas will speak for themselves. Firstly, when we were revising this last night, the picture of Dr. Bhavna Chadha was right in front of me all the time. That lady who spoke on design thinking was there right in front of me, and even while Vikas was talking and we were discussing, it was Bhavna Chadha all the way. My take on this one aspect of what could have been done differently perhaps is that they waited too long for the impact of COVID to hit them. They didn't see it coming. They were reduced to a situation where they had to knock off 25% of their staff. They had to pay $1 billion from their personal resources towards cancellations and hold the trust of their franchisees and their and the customers. So this could have been preempted a little earlier, perhaps, with their insights, knowledge, and the money power they had, with the team that they had. They may not have had to wait till the fag end when they've given away all these resources just to stay alive. What was the need? Why to go to the extent of paying 25% of the staff out? Perhaps it could have been preempted. Why to give $1 billion towards cancellations? Perhaps it could have been preempted. With their wealth of available data at their disposal and the work staff available, this should have been seen earlier, the impact of the COVID. That's my take with a pinch of salt, but we have admiration for the three.
Absolutely. Great. Absolutely. Yes, Vikas.
So I think they did a lot of things which were innovative, but whatever research that we did, I could see that there were bouts of complacency also in between. A lot of steps could have been preponed actually. Had that happened, for example, steps like involving the local heroes to do those activations would have been an idea that could have been thought of earlier. That's point number one. Secondly, let's not forget that they're not the only player in the market. They should have been more sensitive to competition also. Let's even in India, while there were likes of Oyos coming and there were a lot of sort of startups which also could not make their way bigger, they could have thought of better collaborations, more sort of robust collaborations also. And third to my mind, even if you were to look today also, the India Facebook page, the Facebook India page also, you would see still even today, a lot of tons of negative reviews also. So while they are gaining a lot of traction and there are a lot of positive ratings, I still see, in spite of all the IPO sort of hype and everything else, I still see a lot of reviews which are still there. I think they need to work a little more closely with the customers, because at the end of the day, each customer is a brand ambassador, I just said a while back. And in case I was to take a deep dive and see a good number of negative reviews also, that's going to make me rethink one more time, you know. While I may be an ardent Airbnb sort of customer or a prospect, I could still get dissuaded. I think lots needs to be done there also.
Yeah, what I would like to say is that in order to survive the crisis, they paid $1 billion from their pocket to pay the stakeholders. They need to now pay much more attention to the negatives, which are the perceptions, and some of them are actual. Maybe they need to spend another $1 billion working with the host to improve the facilities, to do away with the negatives. And this act, if they take it diligently and move very fast, otherwise competitors will catch up. There's no doubt about it. Then they will make many more billions. So if they need to stay ahead of the competition and overtake the others, they'll have to move now in a very fast manner and a very intelligent manner to overcome the negatives which are there, which is primarily customer service. Make sure, even if there's a dispute with the customer, you make sure you refund them. They'll come back to you and give you much more business in future because they feel happy that the company responded to them. And adhere to a strict code of conduct or improve their standards with their co-hosts so that a customer has a much better experience while visiting the property. And of course, people have different pockets. Somebody can pay more, somebody can less. So they already have that classification. They have different prices. So they will keep that differentiation. But however, within that differentiation, they should have certain minimum standards which should be enforced. And I think this will go a long way and it'll expand the business manifold.